Just a second, I will be back. Okay, so here it is. First of all, IP address is a logical address, like different ways to check the IP address. In the same PPT only, I'm putting things into same PPT only. Yeah, here it is. Guys, if you want to check the IP address from command prompt, see how to open the command prompt, right? In this one, put a command ipconfig only. ipconfig. So first way is put a ipconfig in a command prompt. Okay, cap letters or small letters in Windows, whatever it is, no problem. In Linux and Unix is different, but in Windows it's a no problem. But no cap small letters, no problem. Okay, put a ipconfig. Otherwise, you can increase the text size also. If you want, you can increase it, so you can able to see proper. Okay, this is the one way. So this is the one way. So in a command prompt. So this is ipconfig. In a command prompt only, same command, no difference, but small difference is there. ipconfig, small difference is there. ipconfig, give a space /all. I is a small letter I want. So ipconfig or a ipconfig space /all. So when you do it, observe what is the difference between ipconfig and ipconfig all. Okay. So for example, no. So yeah, of course, in a PowerShell in Windows we have a PowerShell. In a PowerShell also we can get an IP address also there. So we'll see that one. Next, in GUI mode also we can able to get IP address, not in a CLI mode. In a graphically also we can get it in a different way. So the two ways are there, but ultimate one is same thing only, but here it is you have to go like this. So first one is go to run. The run box ncpa.cpl. ncpa.cpl. So in that one you can see the adapter. So okay, so you have to put a right click on your adapter, status, details. So you will get the things. Same thing only, but the things will be different. Go to control panel. How you go to control panel, that is your wish. Yeah. Go to control panel. In the control panel, find out where is network and sharing center. Network and sharing center. Change adapter settings. Again, now from here again. So right click on adapter. Status. Same details. So either you will use this first way or second way also. Of course, I showed how to check the IP address from the task manager also. Okay, that is only showing what is your IP address. It is not showing about subnet mask, default gateways and other information, but we can able to see the IP address from here also. Okay, that is already I shown like this. So we'll see in a different ways. PowerShell also will give you the command. So that's why I given a small gap in it. The first one is command prompt way. Guys, command prompt we can open in a different ways. That is, you know that one. So CMD means your command prompt way. How to check it? This is the command prompt. So how you open the command prompt? Either you will go to run and open the CMD, or you put a search box. Under search, you put a CMD. So it is your wish. Okay, direct open or a run as administrator also no problem. I open a command prompt anyway. So it is a dark side, right? So I don't like it. So I like this one. So its background is white. So here it is. First one is ipconfig. In which ways you can tell open the IP address means this part. So here it is. In a command prompt, when you put a ipconfig, so you are getting this much of big one. I am getting. You are not getting. I am getting. But what is this use of this one? We'll see that one. Okay. See here it's a very big one. Don't worry. Control A. So we'll increase the size. Okay. And I'm changing this username because I don't want to put a username part. ipconfig Windows IP configuration. So these are unnecessary details I'm getting. Adapter elements kind of stuff not required for me. And I have a multiple network connections are there. Some are loopback connections, virtual adapters. Okay, unused adapters. See, it is a virtual adapter. It is. Okay, so this is yeah, this is the virtual adapter VMnet one, and unused adapters also there. So here it is. So this also having a adapter. So you must know what is your adapter name. Okay. So what I will do, I will try to give you not all these things, only or answer only I want to give you. Okay. So now I can able to increase the little font size, so then we can able to see properly. So here it is. I got a IP address, subnet mask, and a default gateway of my adapter. This is my adapter name. I'm getting these details, and these details you may not require. So I am removing this one. This is the IPv6 auto configuration. It's all local IP addresses only. Okay, it's all local IP addresses only. If you want, you can keep it, otherwise you can leave it. But important is these addresses are important, so then I am highlighting, or maybe you can change into bold letters. And this is the my command, what I given a command, and this is also important one, so compulsory you have to give in a dark letters. So this is my command. This is my adapter name and these are my IP address. See how IPv4 IP address is look like. So it's a 4 parts: 192.168.0.137. So when you are telling about your IP address, what is your IP address? So your IP address is, my IP address is 192.168.0.137. Okay, so this is my IP address. Of course, there is other details: subnet mask and default gateway. Hello. Okay, guys, this is ipconfig. What about ipconfig/all? Okay, slash represent either this slash or this slash. Which slash is important? So then, based on that, you have to give. Okay, so every slash is a changes depends upon your command locations, like that. Okay, so this is representing location. This is representing command option. So this is ipconfig all. ipconfig space/all. So you can see the output is little different from ipconfig, but we'll see what are the output we are getting. So don't worry, it is a very big one as compared to ipconfig, because more details are here in this one. Of course, as I said, we are going to delete some details, most of the details from here. So this is a ipconfig command. So command is important. So then I am putting like this and bold letters. Why? Because the command. Okay. Host name, I am getting a host name like this one. So I put my host name is this one. Not always required to give correct details, but some details. So these details I'm not want to give. So this is an adapter, Ethernet adapter, which is not connected now. This is another adapter, local area network connection to. This is some loopback adapter, not required. This is also some loopback adapters, so which is not required. Okay. So last time I removed this one, but I am keeping this one now, not required. I will show you that output separately. This is a important details. This is also not required details. Yeah. Okay. Now only we required these details only. You don't require all the other adapter details. And I'm also removing this IPv6 details. Okay, currently we are checking IPv4 details only, so no IPv6 details. Otherwise, we will miss few details from here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Why we need IPv6 address?
Depends upon your network connectivity. So either you may have a, you can use IPv6. I am using IPv4 here. My network, my adapter is, sorry, my router providing IPv4, and as well as IPv6 is also configured. Some are pure
Okay,
IPv6, some are pure IPv6.
but okay. But anyone ask me about what is your IP address? Then what I have to tell them?
So better to tell
IPv4 address
IPv4.
or IPv6?
IPv4 main communications we are doing with the IPv4 only. But if in case you are using Geo,
Okay.
Then IPv6 also there.
In case of
Geo, real
okay,
Reliance, Geo network,
okay, okay,
you may
okay,
get a
okay,
IPv6 address also.
okay.
Okay. So in that cases, it may require generally most of the cases it is a IPv4 only. Okay, most of the cases. But maximum we are using IPv4. Okay. In some cases IPv6 depends upon your adapter. So you can remove this one also, no problem. It's not a big deal. But important one is I want to change little. It's gone to very small, but still it is. See, this is a IPv4 and subnet mask, release expiry. So these are the important details. Look at those things. This is the MAC address, guys. This is the MAC address. How to check the MAC address? You can get it MAC address by ipconfig all also. This is your adapter name. This is my host name, and DHCP enable S represent you are a DHCP client. You got an IP address from DHCP server. DHCP enable S means you got an IP address from DHCP server. I will show you one more output here. My VMnet1. Yeah, this is a VMnet1. See, DHCP enable no. DHCP enable no means it's a static IP address. So can you see IPv6 DHCP address here? DHCP address, not like this one. Okay, see it is DHCP server is showing like this. It's not showing like this. It's showing some other details because of DHCP v6. Okay, so DHCP enable no means this IP address is a manual IP address. This IP address is manual IP address. So what I will do, I'm going to copy this one also. What happened? Yeah, it is copied. It is copied. It is copied. Only that part is copied. Very good way. Yes, understand. Are you getting an IP address from your DHCP server or a router? How do you know? By DHCP enabled no means it's a static IP address. Yeah, it is a dual IP address are given. So just I'm removing that part. Showing two IP addresses. I don't want that one. Yeah, default gateway. So this is IP address I configured manually. I configured manually these IP addresses. It's a manual IP address. Manual or a static IP address. DHCP enabled and right only. So MAC address of this adapter. MAC address of this adapter. IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, DHCP, sorry, DNS address also you are able to see. It's a manual IP address. Red color represent wrong, right? So it is. I'll put it in a different color. Okay, like this. Here it is. DHCP enabled yes. Represent. So I said manual means it's a automatic. It's a automatic IP address from DHCP server. Or you can say dynamic. DHCP means dynamic host configuration protocol. DHCP means dynamic host configuration protocol. So it's a dynamic IP address or automatic. We are not giving, okay, IP address get from DHCP server. IP address, you got it from DHCP address. So ipconfig all will give you complete details about your DNS address, DHCP address, lease duration, lease obtained, and MAC address, your network adapter description, and your host name. ipconfig will give you only IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway, not all details. Okay, of course your IPv6 details are coming, but that is not very important here. Okay, so here it is. I also removed that IPv6 related because space is not available, and that too, that is not very important details also. So if any time,
Hello,
maybe next time tomorrow,
hello, sir.
yeah, tell me.
I have a query, sir. Every system has a different IP address or a same.
Every system may having
Every system has a different IP address or it have the same.
every system having a different IP address depends upon your network.
Okay, sir. Well, in that case, if we have hear about the some theft about conspiracy or something else, then how can someone hack IP address?
In India, concept is different. American concept is different. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Indian concept is like this. This is the
Okay,
service provider,
okay,
ISP,
sir.
like a Jio, Airtel, BSNL, like that. Okay. There are the ISP people are there. So
Sir,
they are
those.
connected to internet. Original internet is connected through ISP provider only. Okay.
Okay, sir.
You are we are subscribers. So our internet works in at our home only, not everywhere, in generally. Okay. So we have taken a internet connection from Airtel, for example. So in Airtel, they of course they have a one router is installed, right? Router is installed. From router to our devices, we are connecting, right? I am connecting to my router. Mine is a ACT broadband. Okay, so I connected to my ACT router, which is installed in my home, which is connected to ACT their routers. So locally, I'm using my local IP address. This is an example for a private IP address, which is not accessible from anywhere in the world. Okay, not accessible. Okay, that is a different point is there. So simply try to understand. So where is my Wi-Fi? So this IP address works inside my network only, inside my home only. When it is communicating through internet, ISP will map to your public IP address. Okay, so you cannot communicate with this particular IP address is 192.168.0.137. You are not communicating with it. For example, you open a Google page, you send a information to google.com. Google.com don't know this IP address. This is your private IP. Okay, this is your private IP. No one knows your private IP address except ISP provider. Okay, except ISP provider. What ISP provider will do? So it split it like this. This is your private IP and you are communicating with a public IP address. Like in your home, you have a 10 computers are there. If you 10 computers are having different private IP address, but all are having same public IP address. I said it now. Earlier when I last part of class I said how to check IP address and how not to check the IP address. You know, when I put this question, some people will put it like this. Question is, what is your IP address, right? So what you will do? What is my IP address? What you will do? You'll type like this, guys, right? Instead of what Sir is telling, we don't mind about. We are telling, we are doing. What is my IP address? Or what is your IP address in the Google? You are not typing how to check IP address. You are typing what is my IP address. It's showing different IP address. It's showing different IP address. My IP address, I said, this is my IP address, but Google showing different IP address. What is it, guys? Anyone guess?
That is, it is from our preferred router that they can't.
Privacy, it's a
This
public
is my
IP.
public IP address.
Yeah,
This is my
the public IP
public
address.
IP address, which is given by, which is using from ISP provider. Okay, that is my public IP address. That's it is specify your public IP address. Google don't know what is my private IP address. See, this is my PC. My IP address is 192.168.0.137. This is my private IP. Okay, so this is my router. I connected to my Wi-Fi router. Wi-Fi router is dealing with my IP addresses, like how many devices are there, laptop, desktop are there. So whenever they are having a connection, they'll give different type of IP. For example, my mobile phone are also getting some IP address. Okay, like this. So for example, same series, 192.168.0.142, for example. So these are all a private IP address valid up to this level only. Only this routers, internal part only, internally, like a local. In externally, the connectivity to ISP. ISP will give you an IP address to make a connection. IP address will assign to your router to communicate between router to ISP. Router to ISP. Router to local, different IP network. Router to ISP, different IP network. This is also not public. This is also not public. This is will be up to ISP only. From ISP to public means through internet. You are connected with the public. So if you have a 3-4 mobile phones, laptops in your home, okay, check each mobile phone and laptops local IP address. Okay, you can easily go to settings, their network, and there you can find your IP address. If it is connected to same Wi-Fi, all should be connected to same Wi-Fi. Then you can see their IP addresses. Okay, understand? You have a For example, I have a laptop, my sister laptop is there, my nephew laptop is there, I have a mobile phone is there. All are connected to same Wi-Fi router. All are connected to same Wi-Fi router. So I'm going to check the IP address. So I check the IP address is like this one. Okay. This is also like this. Just for example, it can be different in your home. It can be different in your home. Okay. So this is showing like this. But when I open my Google and type what is my IP address, it may show this IP address for all the devices. Each device go to Google and type what is my IP address. It may show same public IP. Same public IP. So same public IP address for a multiple devices possible using a technique called a PAT technique. Port address translation means multiple private IP addresses are loaded on a single public IP address. This is called a PAT, port address translation, or a NAT overload. This technique we are using in India. So as you asked question, that's I said Indian technology different, US technology different. US telephone department is make a connection to give a internet. Okay, so the internet broadbands in the olden days to in a America kind of countries, means big countries like America, telephone numbers, and there is a dedicated IP address is there, public IP address given to a subscriber directly, not using any PAT or NAT kind of stuff. Okay, because the population is also very less, so they'll give directly one public IP address to each person. Okay, because direct telephone department is providing internet to the subscriber directly. Now in India it is not like that. In India it is the internet is owned by only one or two organizations. For example, VSNL, not BSNL, actually VSNL is owned internet, and second one is a Reliance. Reliance own the internet. Okay, so Reliance easily give a very less price, but they are charging. But still, why there are a very less price? Because of they are having a fiber optical connections. Underground fiber optical connections are there on both land and as well as the oceans. Okay, so Reliance, not now, not Jio, not Mukesh Ambani. Okay, so earlier, so when Dhirubhai Ambani, later Anil Ambani, so that time only, so Reliance got this fiber optical cables inside. Okay, so like this, Airtel, ACT, Hathway, like different organizations, publicly connected, means earlier Reliance main source provider, remaining are a retail provider, like a wholesale and retail type. Okay, so what internet service provider will do? So what are that they're making a connectivity, public connectivity. So what they choose. So 10-20 PCs, IP address or private IP addresses is connected with a one single public. So what happened? We can save the number of public IP addresses. So what is the point here? It is public IP addresses are limited, but population is high. Number of PCs are high. Number of devices are high. So we cannot able to manage all the public IP address if you are assigning one IP for each person. Okay. So public IP addresses valid from ISP provider to public only, not from ISP to your premises, from your premises to your PC. Public IP addresses not valid. It's a completely take care by ISP. Okay, but in America, direct public IP address assigned to a home router. Direct public IP addresses one single public IP is assigned to home. From home, so they can able to divide an IP address from there using a public translation, like router. They can install a router and then they will translate. But here it is one single direct public IP address is assigned. Even the organizations, companies having a public IP address. Home users don't have a public IP. So I think you got the point, guys. Our computer having a private IP which is don't work in public. So our request go to ISP. From ISP to outside, request go by public IP address using a technique called a PAT technique. That's the second one. What is the first one? Our PCs are configured with a private IP address which is not work in a public. Public means internet. No one knows what is your private IP address. That's the first one. No use. It's only valid inside, not outside. What is the second one? Private IP address. Whenever you are sending a request, you open a Google page, Yahoo page, or YouTube.com. Anything you open in internet, your request is going through ISP provider. ISP provider will send your request. Will send your request through public IP address. Will send your request through a public IP address. So using a PAT technique, port address translation technique, for general public broadband connections, internet connection, all our internet connections work like that only. Okay, next. So you are communicating to this server. So initially your IP address is this one, but after ISP, your IP address can be anything like 20.30.40. Something. So this is your public IP address when you are communicating outside. Because you are sending a request, you'll get a reply. If you don't send any request, you won't get any packet. Means, for example, this guy knows my public IP address. This is my public IP address. Okay, this guy know my public IP address. So he's trying to attack me with that public IP address. So he can reach up to ISP provider, but he don't know which PC is actually it is binded. Which PC actually binded. Yes, once again I will tell. The request is going from this PC to this PC with public IP address directly. Means this server knows my public IP address. But whenever it is replying, you choose a reply with a yellow color here. So when I'm replying it, I reply to the ISP. So ISP understand. So this is the particular PC. Send a request to this PC. So this is the reply and it will forward to you directly. Okay, because you are sending a signal, you are sending a packet to some PC like google.com or facebook.com or yahoo.com. So you are send a request. So they receive it and forward packet to your public IP. ISP provider understand that is your request you are sending and you are getting a reply and it is forward the packet to your local IP. So this is how PAT works. This is how PAT works. So another hand, how people can able to hack your system? They can't hack with your private IP or a public IP address because of the PAT. Directly, someone in the internet cannot access your PC with your public IP address or a private IP address directly. You are not sending a request, so they cannot send any packet. If they send a packet to your public, but ISP provider will verify is the request is sent by which system? No details. So obviously it dropped the packet. because one IP is assigned to multiple PCs. You don't know which PC is exactly you are asking to access. You don't know, it drop the packet. Okay, and this PC, this IP address can be there in this world. Millions of people are having same IP. Millions of people are having same IP in their local, because it's a private IP, not a public IP. Public IP are unique, means single IP address. Private IP address, not like that. I'm using this IP, you can use in your same IP address. In this world, lot of people are using same IP address. Okay, millions of people are using same IP address. So obviously with your private, it cannot reach you. With your public, ISP provider don't know which PC is currently the PAT communication, PAT table is not there. Okay, I don't know how to explain without giving more details. If I give more details, it will confuse you. Okay, so it will check the table. So which is currently the port mapping is not there. Port mapping information is not there. Automatically it drop the packet. But there is a possibility. Guys, important question. The girl is asked, what is the important question is how we are getting accessed, how we are getting hacked because of some websites we open, certain illegal websites, mainly not genuine websites, pornographic websites, some URLs, tiny URLs, short links, tiny URLs, short links, advertisement, win a gold by rolling this pin. Okay, Amazon gift vouchers by rolling this, that kind of stuff. I think WhatsApp forward messages, if you open it, you will get it. If you click on it, that's a roller, so it rotates and you won a 20k coins. So then log into your Amazon account from here and purchase it, so you will claim that amount, you get a 1 rupee deal. Those are all very dangerous. Once you are open the link, your details, you are sending a request to allow a remote person to access your PC. That is a secret script. Okay, you are sharing your details directly to remote person without knowing yourself, by opening that kind of URLs. First one. Second one, apps, applications. Guys, always download an applications mainly from their websites only. For example, I want to download VLC player. Download from main website. Videoland.org is a original one. Do not download it from different websites. Okay, so see, it is soft tonic. Why you need a soft tonic? You have direct website is there. Why are you going to soft tonic? Okay, so why you are going to some other websites to download it, like a file hippo, third party websites. Do not download applications from third party websites. Otherwise, you can go to Microsoft Store if you are using a Windows 10 or Windows 8. So you are getting a Windows Store or a Microsoft Store. Windows Store name change to Microsoft Store. That's it. You need a Microsoft account to log in, like it is a Google Store, Yahoo Store type. You can download an application from this Microsoft Store, or you can download it from main websites. Do not download any application from third party websites. Do not download any applications or movies, okay, certain things, notes, books and all from torrent websites. Torrents nowadays not clean. So earlier at least few torrent sites or clean sites are there. Now maximum not clean sites because of the restrictions. Torrent restrictions are there because that movie philos and all people are putting restrictions on it. So obviously you have to use some different sites. So those torrents not at all clean up. Okay, so all torrents are restricted. So then you have to use some pirated one, VPN kind of stuff. So guys, once you are open your door, anything will come into your system. So you are opening it. He is not coming to your system. You are opening it. You are installing applications. You are downloading things from the torrents. Obviously, it is very easy to enter into your PC. It's not about your IP address. It's not about your MAC address, guys. It's a very simple. You are opening a links. You are opening a certain links. You are opening certain websites. You are opening torrent sites. You are downloading applications from third-party websites. So these are will cause the network bleaching or a security threats, or we can say hacking. I hope you got it with a very big lecture with a small question.
Yes, sir.
Good. So I will take a screenshot of it and I will share it later. Okay. So what is your public IP and private IP also? You can check it. And mainly that is your public IP address. So you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I hope you got how to check the IP address. How to check IP address is from DHCP server automatic or it is a manual one. Okay. And already I told how not to check also. That is not a correct answer. How not means this is the not correct answer. It is a wrong answer. I'm not saying it is wrong answer. I'm telling it's not a correct answer. It is not a correct answer. So tell me your IP address. You open a Google. What is my IP address? You tell this IP address means you are given wrong answer. You open command prompt and you read about an IP address like this. So that is a correct answer. Understand, guys? People try
Yes, sir.
to make, yeah, very good.
Yes.
So this is the GUI manner. So already I think in a GUI manner, yeah, it is, sorry, I didn't see the time. So I will show you this one very simple and we'll close it. Okay. So try once if you have a PC, how to check the IP address also, how to check system configuration. Okay. I will give you assignment also later, but see it is ncpa.cpl. The run, I put a ncpa.cpl, click OK. So this is your adapters. These are all my adapters. I got lot of adapters. You may not have so many adapters because I'm using in different purposes, different virtual adapters also there. This is my Wi-Fi route, my Wi-Fi adapter. Right click, status, details. Okay. So this is my DHCP enabled. This is my physical address, my IPv4 address, subnet mask, lease obtained, lease duration, default gateway, DHCP address, DNS address. These are the IP address and MAC address. Okay. So you can directly double click or right click status also. Okay. So to 1 second, guys. Someone put a 1 second. Okay. So this is the way to open print screen. This is the better way. Print screen. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. Someone put how can we get something system? Someone's, how can we get someone's or something system access? I didn't get it. Okay, so this is the to check the IP address, guys. Okay, so always mask the MAC address. That is always better. No one will hack you with your MAC address also. MAC address is purely in a private. But why I am asking the MAC address? People use MAC address for certain illegal activities also. Okay, so this is the IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and DHCP address, and a DNS address directly. Yeah, very good. How to access the someone's PC using a different protocols, guys. Using different protocols are there. Remote access protocols also there. So I open like this, but 1 second, I will show you one more. Like a go to control panel. So how you go to control panel? I said I don't mind, right? So different ways to go to control panel is there, guys. So you can go to search or go to run also. You can go to control panel. So open the control panel. It opens like this. If it is open like this, network and internet, there network and sharing center, and advanced sharing settings. Sorry, mistake. Change adapter settings. Change adapter settings. This is the adapter details. You can double click on it, no problem. So just double click details you're getting. Okay. So this is the one way. So what is go to control panel, network and internet, network and sharing center, change adapter settings. This is your adapter. How do you know that is your adapter? So network and sharing center seat is connectivity. Okay, you must know. So that is that much we can't go depth. So here it is, your Wi-Fi status details. This is my IP address, my subnet mask, default gateway, DHCP, DNS address, like this. Okay. Another way, another hand, this is my control panel. Change large icons. So it is control panel category large icons. Directly can find network and sharing center. Network and sharing center. Change adapter settings. Again, you got this IP address. So either you choose ncpa.cpl, or you can. What is ncpa.cpl? It opens this window directly. Okay, you go to ncpa.cpl. This will open directly. If you want to choose from control panel, you can go to control panel in a different ways. See, control panel, network and sharing center, change adapter settings. Now we got this screen. So how many steps you want to reduce, that is depends upon you directly. Okay guys, these are the things how to check the IP address in both from control panel and in command prompt also. I told. So here it is. Someone asked a question. I will give you a short answer. It is. So how to access remote PC or a laptop or a device kind of stuff using remote access protocols. Remote access protocols. For example, Telnet is a one protocol. SSH, both are command-based protocols. Both are command-based protocols. SSH and Telnet. And GA-based protocols are there. RDP, remote desktop protocol, RDP, remote desktop protocol is there. One more is there, that is called a VNC, like a real VNC. VNC is an application wise. It's a different application, not a default protocols. You have to download this application and install VNC server, VNC client. Okay, real VNC, Tiger VNC. So any VNC softwares you can able to use it to access remote PC. Not by attacking, guys. So that is a different. Again, you have to write down some programs, the remote RA, remote assistance. Now remote assistance is not there. It is available in Windows XP kind of stuff. Not available now. Remote assistance RA ticketing is there. So using in Windows XP, that time Windows Vista, Windows XP, we are having remote assistance to access the thing. Okay. So using remote access protocols, RDP or VNC, it's a GUI based. These are GUI based. This CLI based. CLI based. Microsoft PowerShell is also possible to access remote access. CMD based. Okay. So of course, hacking is different. So ethical hacking, remote monitoring, like what he is doing, that kind of stuff also you can do it. Some applications. We can use certain applications generally in a LAN application kind of stuff. Means manager or a student classroom. Okay, classroom management softwares are there. Employee management softwares are there. So certain applications we can view multiple desktops. For example, you are all working in your laptops. I don't know whether really you are working or not. So I can monitor from my PC using some applications. Very old days, I used that kind of stuff when I start my career that time. So because people are, we don't know what people are doing. Okay. So what I do, so I monitor all the monitors from my single computer using IP address. Okay, guys. So short conclusion: how to check the IP address? Okay, how to check the IP address? ipconfig or ipconfig all. So what is the difference between ipconfig and ipconfig all? ipconfig will give you IP address, subnet mask, default gateway only. But ipconfig all /all give you your MAC address, DHCP enable yes or no. Okay, IP address, subnet mask, default gateway. If in case DHCP IP address, lease obtained, lease expiry, DHCP server address and DNS server address also. DHCP enable no means it's a static IP address. DHCP enable yes means it's a dynamic IP address came from the DHCP server. In generally, DHCP servers are your Wi-Fi routers only. Your routers only. When you put a what is my IP address in google.com, it will show an IP address that is your public IP address, not your laptop IP address. Okay, so we are using a PAT technique to mask your, to map your private IP address to public IP address using PAT technique, port address translation. NAT, PAT, two techniques are there. So we are using PAT technique by ISP provider. Private IP addresses, not routable, non-routable IP addresses cannot be root in the domain. So when we are going to IP address classes, we'll going to see that one. In GUI mode also we can open two ways to go to this part. One is go to run ncpa.cpl directly to open the network adapter settings. Okay, right, double click on your adapter. So details. So you will see your IP address, MAC address, subnet mask, default gateway, DHCP address, and DNS address also. Okay, or you can go to control panel network and sharing center or network and internet. There you can find network and sharing center. Change adapter settings. There you will get. Guys, not only with the picture, without putting anything, also you can able to tell an answer. So this is a complete blank screen. I put a complete blank screen. Still, you can able to tell the steps. That is very important. Okay. It's a 2 o'clock. I said to 1:30 is the last. Um,
No issue, sir.
but I hope you got the class okay for everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, guys, meet you tomorrow then.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Any doubts? You can put in a group.
So,
Okay. Yeah, tell me, Jyoti.
is there is there any class at evening?
In afternoon, I don't know exactly. Maybe Sudeshna madam will take. Okay.
Okay, okay, fine.
If it is there, she will share the information. Otherwise, we can take. Okay. Otherwise, I'll
Oh,
just take after half an hour. Put a message. Is any afternoon class is there or not? Okay.
okay.
Excuse me, sir.
So that's it. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Tell me. Tell me.